Good evening, Dundee. How's it? My name is John Carricker, and I'm going to be hosting this virtual town hall for you this evening. We are at the Evotel headquarters, and we're going to be telling you everything about Evotel. And when I say we're going to be telling you, I'm not going to be telling you very much because I'm just going to be asking the questions. Because next to me here is Bradley Becker, Head of Business Development at Evotel. Bradley, thanks very much for joining us for this virtual event.
Thank you for having me.
Just so you know, we are social distancing. There's the distance. This is my mask. I was wearing this but then you can't hear me so well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our social distance. We've got the minute and a half, and you're at home there or wherever you are. And we're going to ask questions about the Evotel Fibre to the Home rollout. We're going to explain what all of that means. And we want your interactions, please, on the comments. Comments below, wherever the comments are, on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your TV, wherever they are, please ask questions. It's an interactive conversation that we're going to be having here. That's why we're doing this. And we would love any questions that you might have. I was having a look earlier. People are already saying that they're really keen on getting their fibre to the home in Dundee. I don't know much about Dundee. I've been to Newcastle, and that's about as far down that road I've gone. So we're going to find out a little bit more about Dundee as well. Tell us about your town. Tell us about what kind of internet you have at the moment. And maybe it'll help Evotel a little bit, because any sort of suggestions will be better. But it is interactive. So please leave comments below. We've got a massive team of people that are answering questions that we might not be able to get to on this live stream, but we will be answering questions on this stream as well if there are general questions. So please leave comments below, on the side, wherever they might be. We will get to those questions. As I said, my name is John. Bradley Becker is going to be answering a whole lot of questions. Bradley, first of all, we got the social distancing, just making sure you got your mask handy somewhere.
I do.
Oh, there, it's there. Okay, Bradley, we're at the Evotel head offices. In Twitter speak, if you can, what is Evotel? Why are you talking to Dundee?
So Evotel is a fibre to the home network provider. We've been in operation since 2015. We provide a uncompromised, stable fibre to the home network throughout the suburbs of Dundee. We connect every single home. This ranges from single dwelling units as well as complexes. We're an open access network, and I think we'll chat a little bit more about what open access is, but we provide an opportunity for customers to be able to select from a variety of different packages and ISPs and pricing that best suits them. And these packages range anything from a 5 megabits per second line up until, the Ferrari of packages, the 1 gigabits per second line.
Yeah.
We're a fiber to the home provider connecting, thousands of homes every single month.
Let's talk about fiber to the home. So everybody in the old days, I don't know what it's like these days because I've got a cell phone, right? In the old days, everybody had a telephone and there would be a copper wire coming into the home.
Correct.
You're now supplying fiber to the home.
Correct.
Okay.
Essentially ADSL is an outdated technology that made use of copper wires to transmit data from one point. Fiber optics is the latest technology. It's the fastest form of internet available not only in South Africa but in the world, and it transmits data from one point to another utilizing light, and as everyone knows, nothing travels faster than the speed of light. There's many benefits of fiber compared to your ADSL copper. It doesn't get affected by weather, it doesn't transmit electricity, so you don't have that risk of it ever getting hit by lightning, etc. It's stable, and again, it also doesn't get stolen, so there's lots of benefits of going from ADSL to fiber.
We're going to get into that in a moment, because the one thing you did mention, Bradley, is open access. I don't understand, what does open access mean?
So open access is a beautiful model where it allows customers the freedom of choice. Currently on our network we have close to 23 service providers, and every month we're onboarding service providers that wish to provide a service on our network. The beauty of an open access network is that it creates a very competitive environment within our fiber network amongst the ISPs, and this ultimately benefits the end user because they're getting the best service, best price. The other service providers know that at any given time, if they do not give the service that is of high quality, a resident can always switch to one of the other 22 service providers.
So in the old days when we had internet on the old ADSL lines or the telephones, there was only one place to get, and you would have to phone and fight with them.
Yeah.
Now, and we'll get into how all of this works, but that list that was up earlier, they're all an option that I can choose. So I could phone up Accelerate or Business Services and compare those prices.
Yes.
So they're going to be competing with each other for my business, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that's the beauty, of an open access network, is that freedom of choice. There's many ways that you could sign up for a service. You could go directly to one of the 23 ISPs that we have on our network, or you could phone us and we would gladly assist you in getting you, signed up and connected and moving in the right direction to getting connected.
Okay, so are you the provider, or would you suggest one of those that were on there?
No, so we provide the infrastructure, and as I like to use an analogy, we provide the highway, and the 23 service providers that we have on our network would provide you with the vehicle and then determine how fast you may drive on that highway with that vehicle. So we do not bill the end user, we do not provide that last mile service or the end user service. That solely happens from the 23 different service providers that we have on our network.
All right, and I know I'm looking really far ahead for when this is all installed, and we're going to talk about the installation, that's why we're here. But in the future, if the internet goes down, I'm busy doing my emails or watching Netflix, the internet goes down, do I phone you or do I phone my service provider?
So we always advise that your first call would be your internet service provider. They are managing you as a client, and their best interest is to always ensure that you're up and running. They then will raise a ticket or liaise with our support department, who work 24 hours to ensure that we get a resolution to that query. We do also assist customers if they do phone in and log tickets for them, but we always advise you rather go through to your service provider first as your first line of contact.
Okay, I know you touched on it. Let's talk about the benefits of fiber. We know it's fast, we know it carries a lot of information. Just run through in details, I know you touched on it briefly, in details why fiber?
As mentioned, it is the latest technology, it's the fastest form of technology. The open access network creates that competitive environment, so we've got the best ISPs at the best packages, etc. And then one of the cool initiatives with us rolling out of fiber is we're able to provide every school with a free fiber connection, enabling them to develop and grow while we're rolling out a network. And then ultimately using that fibre to build a smart city. Laying the infrastructure opens a lot of possibilities in terms of building smart cities, having Wi-Fi nodes, camera nodes in areas, and allowing the community to utilise the fibre network to build a much better suburb.
That leads nicely. Luyanda just sent a message wanting to know why Evotel is targeting the small towns. The big boys that and we'll talk about those in a moment. It always starts in Johannesburg and then Cape Town and then Durban. Suddenly Dundee and Newcastle fibre. Why are you doing that?
Again, I think a lot of the big metropolitans have already been covered, and there's a lot of outer regions and towns that have been longing for good connection that don't have the options that we have in Johannesburg. And we're very passionate about ensuring we connect everyone. It's in our slogan, fibre for everyone. And our mission is to make sure that we connect as many people as we possibly can. And we're excited to finally get Dundee connected, and we look forward to growing, in various suburbs around Dundee and other outer regions as well.
It's going to change the country because suddenly people can do work, proper telecommuting work from anywhere in the country if they've got the fibre.
No,
I can go retire in Dundee.
Yeah,
and still do some work and still get the Netflix without having to rely on that.
No, and again, that's the beauty of having a stable internet connection. Is we are going through a time where things have changed and people have had to adjust, and kids are having to learn from home, etc. And there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to do what you need to do because of your internet. So again, it just allows you to do so much more from the comfort of your home, and it allows us to even do things like this where we have a virtual town hall. Just endless possibilities when we deploy a fibre network.
Remind me to ask you about load shedding towards the. I know that question is going to come up. A reminder, if you have any questions so far, please leave it in the comments below. We've got a team that are putting those answers together, and we'll ask those questions like Luyanda did. I see some messages are coming through already, so do leave them. They're coming through here. Do get a hold of us. Leave it in the comments below, on the side or on the top, or you know how to do it. Leave comments and we'll get into those. Bradley, let's talk a little bit more about the process. You're installing fibre into Dundee. How does it work?
Yeah, so obviously the first step that we take is we do just some market research, and we get a gauge of what type of geographic we're dealing with in Dundee, etc. So we know how to best service the community, and we start that process by doing what we call an expression of interest survey.
So have you done that?
That has been completed. Okay. Obviously, we're at step 2.
There we go.
We're talking to the beautiful people of Dundee, so we're at the virtual town hall step. After this, we start getting site ready and safe. That is our main goal, to ensure that this rollout does not disrupt the community of Dundee, and we want to make sure that everyone is safe. So we start putting up barricading, opening of pilot holes to identify services and where they're on, because we don't want to impact the community negatively and leave them without electricity and water, all those things that they need. So we start that, and then the next phase is the exciting part when construction actually starts, and you start seeing trenches being opened along your sidewalk. We do mole underneath driveways, so we don't always have to open the driveway to get through, but in certain circumstances we might have to, but we try and avoid it at all costs. Once we've done with the civil construction work, we enter the reinstatement phase, where we actually start back to its former glory and getting Dundee looking better than ever. And again, if residents aren't happy with the reinstatement, we then have another step after that to ensure everyone is happy before we sign off, and if there are any challenges, we address them before we actually light the suburb up. And then ultimately the end goal is getting people connected and getting them to use this fabulous network.
Who does the public sign off? Is that with the local municipality? And when people have issues with a water pipe being hit or something, and we'll talk about the process there, or the electricity going off, who is their immediate contact?
So immediate contact would be directly with Evotel for us to address those issues with the relevant contractors or project management teams to ensure that we get all the challenges and issues resolved timelessly. And again, when it comes to signing off of a build, the municipality is involved. It is municipal ground, so we have to make sure that the integrity of the municipal is back to its original condition. And if they're not happy, they won't sign off, which is exactly what we want. But again, we do encourage residents within the community of Dundee to please reach out to us if you do have anything that we haven't addressed, because we would love to make sure that we leave the suburb exactly how it was when it was before we came.
What about before? As you said, start holes and trenches and things. Somebody doesn't want their trench or their garden dug up, or they want the fibre to run to the back of the house instead of the front of the house. What sort of process and how does that happen?
So unfortunately, with the trenching, we have to unfortunately trench past every home. It is a point-to-point network, which means we have to provision fibre for every single home, and we have to utilise municipal ground to lay that infrastructure. So unfortunately, we can't reroute a network to a customer's backyard or anything like that. We would have to go through the sidewalk. But rest assured, we will make sure that it is reinstated. And if we're not, please hold us accountable and hold us to that standard.
Sure.
That's what we live by.
Brave, eh?
Very brave, but very confident as well.
Okay, I found it interesting that you go under driveways,
Correct.
if you can, but if you go on top, again, those bricks will be put back. There's not going to be a dip that's going to look like, in 6 months' time, it's going to look like you weren't even there.
Exactly, and we obviously put a lot of measures in place to ensure that even when we're done with the fibre build, that there is a guarantee after that for us to possibly come back if there are sags with people's driveways, etc. We are always there to come and fix things. Mm-hmm. And again, we take before and after photos as well as part of our reinstatement phase to ensure that we know exactly how to reinstate it back to its original condition. And again, if you're not happy, please reach out to us. We will gladly come and meet with you on site to ensure that we get your property looking better than ever.
Who does the work? Is it Evotel people? I think we can make a slide. I think there's a slide about who does the work. You're working with the community. So who's the actual guys that are digging holes?
So Evotel would appoint a primary contractor, and the responsibility of that primary contractor is then to enable local labour and contractors to be part of that project. So we usually would allocate anything between 30 to 50% of our civil work to local labour and community members. It is a responsibility that we have even with the municipality to ensure that we do uphold that, but we would have contractors that would then subcontract to local labour to ensure that everyone's part of this fibre journey.
But again, if there's a problem, phone Evotel.
100% phone Evotel.
Okay, you're the big boss, and you will look after all of those.
We will look after everyone.
Don't go to the guy who's digging the hole because
please.
they can't make the decision.
No, definitely.
Okay, just so I understand. Okay, so you're going to dig trenches. You're going to put fibres in there and make it all pretty. You're going to cover it up. It's going to look like nothing. What's the next step?
So obviously, once we've lit the suburb up and we've tested all the fibre and there's light going through everything and everything is hunky dory, we will then start scheduling installation. So we do always advise customers to pre-order their installation. There's no cost involved, it's obligation free, but to get into the queue so that once the area is live, you're one of the first people who start scheduling your installation. Usually you would have to get in contact with your ISP to ensure all the processes from their side has been completed and they're comfortable pushing the order through. And as soon as that's done, we can have you scheduled the next day and installed. Is there a process, obviously you're putting, as you were saying, you're putting the highway in. Is there a process from the highway to the house, or is that already put in? What's that system? So essentially when we lay the infrastructure, we provision fibre for every single home.
So there'll be a little box.
There'll be what we call a wall box on every boundary wall, and that's just where every single fibre strand gets terminated to. When you take up the service, we run the fibre strand from that termination box on the outside wall into a suitable location inside your house where you would deem fit. And then the ISP or internet service provider will then come afterwards and plug in your Wi-Fi router, which will then give you your data services within your house.
Benny on YouTube. Thank you, Benny, for commenting. Remember, leave comments if you have any questions. Benny on YouTube wants to know, what is the time frame from digging the hole to being able to watch the next? So again, with any process, it's all dependent on the types of challenges we have on site. Obviously, we try and minimize as much of those challenges before we even start construction, again, by doing the pilot holes and scanning of utilities and stuff. But a project this size can take anything between 8 to 12 weeks. That's usually the time frame we give just to be safe. It could be sooner. We always aim to get a suburb connected as quickly as possible. We know people are eager to utilize the service and we're eager to get people connected, but roughly 8 to 12 weeks to have a suburb completely built, reinstated, and people getting installed already. So 8 to 12 weeks is 3 months. Correct. 3 months. So if it starts, have you started in Dundee already?
Yes, we have already started. We started with what we call civil notifications. So hopefully, everyone that's joined us tonight has received that civil notification in their post box. But we've already started with all the groundwork to ensure that the project, kicks off in the next week or so. That is the goal. And again, in a week's time, you should see a lot of movement in the city of Dundee.
All right, so let's say June sometime, I'm going to be able to watch the rugby streaming.
Definitely.
Okay, that's what I want. That's what I want. I'm going to retire in Dundee as well. You saw briefly the slide it's called "We Don't Mean to Brag" slide, and the one thing that popped up quickly was the school initiative, and you touched on that earlier. What is Evotel doing?
So this is an initiative that we are extremely proud of. Essentially, every single school that falls within our rollout, we provide them with a free fibre connection free of charge. It's an indefinite service, so as long as our network is up and running, that school will have a free fibre connection. It's uncapped, unthrottled. And again, we're excited about it. We're enabling our future leaders to be able to grow and learn in a very stable environment with a stable internet connection, and that's something we do free of charge. So if there are any schools within Dundee that fall within our coverage map, we would love to talk to you and get you up and running as soon as the build starts.
You use the school as like a hub, don't you?
Yes, in some cases we do. We have what we call a point of presence. It's a POP container that we would deploy.
See, I'm learning new things all the time. All the time is new things.
Yeah, so we would deploy that POP at that specific school. Sometimes it is at shops, all depending on what the best location is for the network. And essentially that is the heart of the network. That is where all the fibre strands run to through ducts underground. And essentially those fibre strands then run back to the various data centres throughout South Africa. So essentially the fibre strand that we install into your house runs straight into a data center, and that's how you basically access the world of the internet and Netflix and all those type of things.
Okay, so the school must get hold of you if there's a school in Dundee that are keen for free internet. What did you say? No terms and conditions.
No terms and conditions, no grey areas, free of charge. Please reach out to us. The schools can email us at info@evotel.co.za, and we will then get in contact with the school and get everything rolling and get them connected.
Okay, we'll put those contact details up a little bit later on as well. I'm just thinking now how helpful that's going to be, because with homeschooling, as you mentioned earlier on, not only is it important for the people at home, but teachers might not have and they data and all those kind of things. Now suddenly it's free. They can go to their classroom, put up a little camera like we've done, and present to everybody.
No,
fantastic.
definitely. It's
changed the world.
It's revolution, right? And we're enabling a smart city, and that is the goal with laying a fibre infrastructure, is opening different possibilities that were never available, which is exciting.
Let's talk a little bit more about Evo. Go back to that slide. How successful have you been? You're not the name that comes to mind, and maybe you will in the future, but you're not the name that comes to mind immediately. You're always going to think of the SOE when it comes to that, and the cell phone providers, because they've got the budget to market. So tell us about your success stories.
So over the last 5 years, Evotel has grown substantially. We've got an amazing team that has a lot of experience in the fibre industry, and we've gotten to a point where we're passing a minimum of 5,000 homes per month, resulting in us connecting 50,000 homes plus over the last 2 years. And we're excited that we're going to be building anything between 80 to 100,000 homes in the next year, starting with Dundee. So very excited, but we've grown exceptionally fast over the last 5 years. We're no longer the new kids on the block. I think the name is getting out there, and we're excited. We're excited to be challenging the bigger guys. But the goal is to just connect everyone. That is our ultimate goal.
It's all very well having the fibre, but if it's not up, I was going to talk about load shedding as well. There's something called uptime, I've been told. What is uptime?
Uptime is just essentially how long the network is up and running, and every time we have a network outage, that obviously affects our uptime. The beauty, as you mentioned, with load shedding, our POP containers have actual backup battery systems installed in them. So if you have a generator at home and you're able to power your Wi-Fi router and your ONT device gets installed in your home, you'll have connection because our POP will be lit up. Just one of the many benefits of our fibre network.
We were talking about local construction workers earlier. Do you have an option for a local service provider? So maybe there's somebody in Dundee, a little I don't know, entrepreneur is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur says, maybe I want to be a service provider. Do you help with that?
No, definitely. One of our main passions is, like I said, enabling the community to grow with us during this fibre rollout. We've onboarded various local wireless providers and internet service providers onto our network. The beauty of an open access network is we're able to do that. So again, we are all for enabling local entrepreneurs and businesses, marketing agencies, printing companies, wireless providers, anyone that would want to be part of that journey. And something that we're also very excited about that we'll be launching in Dundee very soon is what we call a business in a box reseller model. This essentially enables community members to possibly start generating an income by helping their fellow community members sign up for the service and essentially getting paid a commission per sale that they bring in. So there's various ways that we try and give back to the community, but also to enable people to also start their own little businesses during this fibre rollout and benefit from it.
Back to the trenching, because that's going to be the big issue. You're digging big holes in the ground. Rick Thomas would like to know, how long does that reinstatement take?
So usually we only start the reinstatement phase once everything has been, all the ducks have been laid in the ground, we've backfilled everything, compacted everything. We then start the reinstatement phase. It's all dependent on, again, size of the suburb, the nature of the reinstatement, obviously different driveways, different sidewalks. Some people's sidewalks are paving, some are tar, some are concrete, some are grass, lush bush, all those type of things. So it's very difficult to put a time frame, but again, everything will be reinstated, built within that 8 to 12 week time frame.
All right, so in the time.
Correct.
Right. If it's running behind, get more guys in.
Definitely.
Okay. Benny wants to know if he's going to get a new driveway.
We hope that we will reinstate your driveway, Benny, back to its original condition and better. Making you feel like you've got a new driveway. But if we don't reinstate it back to its original condition, please hold us accountable.
So it's not like you're going to build a whole new driveway. You're going to trench all the way up and all the way down.
Yeah. So we open a trench roughly about 300 meters wide.
I was going to say, how big is a trench, and how much space, when you're doing the construction, how much space will you take up on the sidewalk?
So again, the trench is about 300 millimeters in width and 450 deep.
It's a ruler, right?
Correct.
Ruler wide. About that deep.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, our main feeder route, which is the main link between the suburb and the pop, that gets dug slightly deeper, at roughly around 1 meter deep, but the same width. And again, we obviously put all the soil that we dig up on the side of the trenches with barricading, but dependent on the size of the sidewalk, where utilities run, etc., how much space we would actually take up. But that's usually the dimension of the trench that we open.
This sounds really silly. Do you do both sides of the road?
We do.
Okay.
We do connect. We have to connect every single home, which results in us having to trench both sides of the sidewalk so that we can service, on either side of the road.
Okay. Who pays for all of this? I mean, where's the money coming from for you to be able to put fibre in a hood?
So Evotel is a privately owned business, and all the infrastructure that we roll out is funded by Evotel directly. It's funded by us and no one else.
Okay, so it's not like if I want fibre to my home, I've got to put a deposit down anyway. No. It's there will be. I've obviously got to pay when it gets connected to my house.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe your costs come in there. We're not going to talk about that, but so for that box to get into outside my house, free of charge.
Free of charge.
No charge. If somebody comes to me and says, do you want it? You got to pay. Don't pay. And report it
to us, definitely, because when we roll out an infrastructure in a suburb, it's at our cost. Residents are not obligated to pay anything. They obviously pay for the service when they take it up, but a lot of the service providers that we have on our network also cover the installation costs, which is also a beautiful thing as well.
You mentioned cable theft earlier. Just explain what you meant by that.
Fibre optics doesn't have any street value. It's a glass tube. Obviously, copper is a very sought after material. If it gets stolen, which is highly unlikely because it is underground, they wouldn't get a lot of money for it, so they'll steal it once but never again. It's one of the main benefits of a fibre network.
Okay, remember, if you have any comments or any questions, please leave it down in the comments below. I'm running out of my questions, so I'm going to need you to help me out a little bit here. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and then you'll be happy. Obviously, we'll put up the contact details later on. There's an email address, a phone number, and they're on the social media as well, because you're watching on Facebook. But yeah, if you have any more questions, do leave it in the comments, and we'll get to those questions now. If there's a tree or something in the way on the pavement, I don't quite know all the rules about where you can plant trees, but are you going to knock down trees to grow these trenches?
No, not at all. We will not touch a single tree. We would have to then root that trench around the tree or find a different solution, either dig closer to the curb or behind the tree, but we will not touch a single tree. We won't roots resulting in the tree dying. We are 100% committed to ensuring that the suburb looks identical to before we started.
Okay, one of the issues is if people use the sidewalk to walk. So you're not, are you going to trench both sides and just make a big mess, and now people have to walk in the road?
No, so usually a project like this is done in certain phases, so we won't start trenching on both sides at the same time. We would usually finish on one side and then move over. Again, there might be more than one contractor working on different blocks within the suburb, so there will be some cases where we are trenched on both sides, but we do try and avoid it. Obviously, we don't want to inconvenience residents within Dundee, but we do try our best to minimize that. But unfortunately, if that does happen, please also reach out to us if it is something that is a concern, and we can gladly look at how we can make sure that it doesn't cause any inconvenience.
I'm just having a look at Dundee, and Dundee, nice, I don't even want to call it a rural area, but it's as I was saying, it's beyond Newcastle. I see there's a bit of a traffic jam at the moment, which is nice. Look, there's traffic jams on the thing. So our camera seems to have stopped, so hopefully you can still hear the audio. But how far out of Dundee, from the centre here, if I'm looking, there's Talana and Dundee Central, the National Computer College is there as well, the Provincial Hospital, the airfield. How far out are you planning on expanding?
It's all dependent on how we start the project. We get issued way leaves from the municipality.
I'm struggling to be able to access that, so we'll leave it at that. So again, just run through. Oh, there we go. Bottom of the screen at evotel.co. 0860386834. All right, and we got some more generic pricing questions are coming in. Let's talk about how much the interwebs costs.
So our packages start from 479 Rand a month. All of our packages are uncapped, unthrottled, unshaped. Again, some of the ISP internet service providers provide free installation, free router, but you're looking at anything between 479 Rand for your entry level 5 megabits per second line, up to 1,800 Rand for a 1 gigabits per second line. So it's all dependent on what suits your pocket and your needs. But yeah, please visit our website and go and view all of the various packages that we have.
Help us out then. If I'm, obviously it depends. If you know what your speed should be, then you know what your speed should be. But if I don't, I don't quite know how I'm going to use the internet, because this is all a very new thing. So where's a good place to start? Should start small and maybe upgrade?
Again, that is also the beauty of our network, is at any given time you are able to upgrade or downgrade your line speed based on what you require. It's all dependent on what you require as a family. If you have 2 or 3 kids that are constantly on YouTube, Netflix, then you would start anything from a 20 megabits per second line up to the 1 gig. But again, the choice is there for you. You can change it any given time. All you have to do is contact your service provider. As I mentioned, they are looking after you as a customer, and just inform them that the 20 meg is not enough for you anymore. You need a 1 gig because the kids are using all the bandwidth, and you want you want to have a good experience. So it's completely up to the end user.
Okay, and because we're always used to these 2-year contracts. There's nothing worse than being stuck into a 2-year contract at a slow speed, and you decide, well, I want to open a construction business, and I suddenly need internet.
Yeah.
You can change all of that.
Yeah, and most of our packages are month to month as well, which is also an added benefit. So again, at any given time, you can swap, change, do what you need to do to make sure that you're getting the best out of your fibre experience. But yeah, obviously we have month-to-month, 12-month and 24-month contracts, but it's all dependent on the service provider that you go with. We don't dictate any of those things.
Krish Kelly, hello Krish, thanks very much for watching. Concerned about the quality of the workmanship. I'm going to assume, Krish, that you're talking about the quality of the repairing, putting it back, making sure, I guess as well, the fibre. The last thing you want is for those fibre lines to break in winter. What is the quality, and who makes sure, besides the resident, as you said, if there's a problem, phone you up, who makes sure that everything is hunky-dory?
So the infrastructure belongs to Evotel, so it's our responsibility to ensure that that network is up and running all the time, and maintenance and all those things are done on a regular basis to ensure it's stable.
I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt. This is what you do.
Exactly.
If you do that badly, you're going to be out of business.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, so again, if we don't maintain the network or our workmanship is not good, the network is at jeopardy, and we ultimately lose customers because they're going to have downtime. They're not going to be able to utilize the internet. So we are very passionate about ensuring that we have that uptime. Our uptime currently is 99.96%,
Sure.
So exceptionally high. But again, hold us to it. We would gladly like to prove ourselves right. If that's the right way of saying it, but
try and prove us wrong is what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. But we will make sure that your experience on the fibre network is of a great one.
This Krish Kelly is concerned about the contractors.
Okay.
So how are the contractors chosen? Is there a proper process to make sure that they're legit contractors?
No, definitely. Obviously, we work hand in hand with the municipality, and we follow their guidelines very strictly. There's specifications in terms of the network and how it should be deployed. When we onboard local labour and contractors, it's our responsibility and the primary contractor's responsibility to ensure they are kept up to speed in terms of how they should build and what type of material, etc. they should use. We control that. And again, it is a learning experience for local contractors as well, and we're there to ensure that after the project is done, they can move on and build elsewhere. So we do manage it very closely. We have our own project management team that works hand in hand with the contractors to ensure there is that high level of quality, but we also do checks after the network is built to ensure that that quality was upheld during the build.
Right. And you've done neighbourhoods before?
Plenty of
so you've done this, but it's not like the first time you're rocking up at Dundee and you're trying something new.
No, we've deployed numerous aerial networks, we've deployed numerous trench networks. So again, we've been around for quite some time. We've learned a lot of lessons, but it's made us who we are now, and we live to a high quality, and we build high quality networks.
We are getting, again, I'm going to ask the question again because it's coming through, is somebody quite specifically is saying how much is a 10 meg line or how much is a 20 meg line. Just to reiterate, that's going to depend on the service provider and the terms of the agreements and all. With I don't know if Graham can put up that list of service providers again, just to give you a bit of a clue as to how many people are involved in that, but that's going to depend on the service provider.
That is correct. So